Hi there. Are you in the market to buy a Mini? If so, hopefully I can show you in this video some of the things about the Mini Cooper S, which I have and you can see here behind me. Some of the features that you may like, and maybe give you some tips on whether you should buy new or second hand. Should you buy a first or second generation or a slightly newer third generation Mini, and what are the pros and cons? If that's what you're looking for in this video, stay tuned.
So although this is a convertible Mini Cooper S, these life cycle initiative changes, which are basically cosmetic changes that BMW made in early 2018, they actually apply across the model range. So although this is a convertible, they actually apply to the hatch, the Countryman, the Clubman, and you should find that all models which are LCI or post Q1 2018 have these changes I'm talking about today.
Okay, so let's start her up, see what she sounds like. Put your foot on the brake, obviously. Get the little heartbeat going on the stop-start button, which is quite cute. And the car fires into life. Really, really good, as you can see. Got a nice exhaust note to it, if you can hear in the background. Hopefully you can hear that exhaust note. So let me just show you what you've got up here on the console. So here you've got a speedo and a tacho and a fuel gauge. In the middle here you've got the, clearly you can see it's in park at the moment, but you've got the multifunction display. By pressing a button on the lighting stalk, you can scroll through numerous things on this display. So you can see clearly I'm parked at the moment, speed. If I touch again, it scrolls through other parameters on the car. So there you can see the date. You can see how long the soft top's been open, which you can reset. Press it again. This shows you the water temperature, the coolant temperature, which is all electronic on this car. Press it again. You can see the odometer, and then you can see the range I've currently got as well. So you've got quite a few things on this central speedometer multifunction display. So above your toggle switches, you've got the controls for the air conditioning, dual climate control air conditioning in this car. And then above the air conditioning, you've got this central multifunction display, which is illuminated around the outer ring, as you can see. Now, by pressing the menu button, which is on the iDrive controller, which I'll show you in a minute, you can actually toggle through a whole load of different things, which hopefully you can see on the video here as I pan in a little bit. But you've got communication, you've got your media and radio controls. This car is actually fitted with wireless Apple CarPlay, which is an optional extra. BMW nowadays have got so many options that you've got to be really careful when looking at second-hand cars to see what options are and aren't fitted. This is the navigation mode, and then this is a very interesting mode called My Mini, where you basically set up all the parameters for the car, and you can check the electronic service history of the car as well, and I'll show you that in a bit more detail. So one of the other features of the LCI 2018 onwards models is they're now equipped with this 7-speed Steptronic gearbox. It's a BMW gearbox, and obviously it's a BMW engine in these cars as well. In fact, I think this engine's the same engine as used in the BMW 1 Series cars. Below the shifter there is the controller for the iDrive, which is where you basically control all of the central multimedia screen, and it's extremely intuitive and a really good system. Feature of all these newer Minis is they're so optionable, and if you buy a Mini new, You can option so many things. You'll find in the base price a lot of the things included in this second-hand car are not included in new cars in the base price. So for example, this car is optioned up with a Harman Kardon audio system, multiple speakers, very high quality sound system, and I would certainly recommend, if you can get a car with that as an option, it would be a huge benefit. So this particular 2018 Mini Cooper S is also optioned with the leather Chesterfield malt leather seating. I really like it, but there are so many options on seating choices again, that again, if you're looking at a second-hand car, really worth looking very closely what sort of options in the seating, the audio system, and also the accessories that the car has. So also on this central display, you can check the vehicle's status in terms of does it need a service. It tells you when the car needs servicing. You can tell there again the engine oil and the brake fluid are all okay and they don't need any servicing, and it does a vehicle check electronically every time you turn the car on, and you get a warning if anything's wrong. So very clever with the electronics in these Minis / BMWs. So in terms of the engine oil, there is no dipstick on these newer Minis, and you can see here that the engine oil status of my car is okay. It's got sensors that measure the oil pressure, and if that drops, you get a warning on this display here to go and put some oil in the car. Okay, so let's have a look at the convertible roof operation on this Mini. You can see here up above the mirror, you've got a number of toggle switches again, which are there for the internal lighting. But this central switch actually works the convertible roof. So the roof goes down in 18 seconds, but it's got a two-stage operation. So the first stage gives you sunroof mode. So let me show you what that looks like. So it's all electric, obviously. So that's what you get with sunroof mode. Quite nice. And then if you pull the button again, you get full roof down mode. So the windows actually drop automatically, and then the roof actually goes down, and you get a little sound when it's closed, and that's what it looks like when it's fully down. So you can see the windows all go down automatically, and then probably to reduce the wind you can bring those up, and there's a switch to bring up the rear and the back windows in one go, which makes the car very wind free. It's also got, this also has a wind diffuser in the back. Again, this is an optional extra. You have to pay for this extra. It fits across the back seats and it flips up, and when the roof's down, it certainly makes it much nicer to drive, because it keeps down the wind noise and keeps the wind from your hair really, and makes it much nicer driving experience with the roof down. So that's it for the convertible roof. So if you are looking at purchasing a Mini, I think there's a number of things that you should look at. Certainly if you can stretch to it, I would urge you to buy a Generation 3 Mini. So that's anything manufactured after probably 2014, 2015. The early Gen 3 Minis in 2014 and 15 had a few minor issues which they had to rectify, but anything post 16 onwards is really solid, as long as they're serviced well. So I think there's a number of things I would certainly check. Is if you're buying an older generation Mini, check the service history. It is really important it's had a regular oil change. Now, some of the early Generation 1 and Generation 2 Minis had issues with their engines, with their coolant, and also their gearboxes. And you really do need to check really carefully the service history of any older Mini, certainly Generation 1 and 2. If you're looking at buying a Generation 3 Mini like this one, again, always check the service history and make sure it's been serviced on schedule, especially with respect to oil changes. It is crucial. Now, the Mini company recommend that they are using these new oils. They only need an oil change every 24,000 miles or 2 years. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but obviously with these newer synthetic oils, they do last that long. Brake fluid changes need to be done every 2 years, and Mini actually recommends an interim service check where they will go through the car's electronics and see if it needs anything. So they normally recommend a major service every 2 years and a service check in between that. The service check, they don't actually change anything. What they do is they plug the car in to the computer and they go through every system in the car electronically, plus they do a thorough visual inspection. In fact, this car had one last week. It cost about 260 Australian dollars, and although they didn't change the oil or the filter or do anything in terms of mechanical changes, they actually did give the car a thorough once over. I did actually wait for the car and I could see what they were doing. It was up on the hoist. It had a very, very thorough inspection, as well as being plugged into the computer and a full diagnostic review. So for me, that was a little bit reassuring, having only bought this car fairly recently. So I would, as I said, recommend a strong service history if you're looking at buying a good second-hand car, certainly in the last 3 or 4 years. If you're looking at buying a new car, I think you just have to watch out for options. The new cars are quite expensive, obviously, and you have to make sure the options that you want are included, because in my experience looking at newer BMWs, all the options are extras. So for example, if you want the upgraded stereo, if you want certain other features in the car, check what you're paying for it, because I'm sure they will be expensive if you're optioning up a new car. Certainly in Australia, a convertible Mini Cooper Sport like this one, with all of the options this car actually has, would retail here for something like 67,000-68,000 Australian dollars. So I'm not sure how that would compare to prices in other parts of the world, but that's quite an expensive car in Australia. I bought this one secondhand and paid significantly less than that for this car, and it has a lot of options that the original owner would have actually paid a lot of money for. So I hope that helps, guys. Please leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, leave a like if these sort of videos are useful. I hope showing you around this car was useful, and it gives you some idea what you can get in a 2018 LCI model of the Mini Cooper S. So as you probably guess, I'm quite a big Mini fan. It's not my daily driver, to be honest, but it is a great little car. It's a fun car to drive, and if you are looking at buying one, as I said, I probably do recommend that you go for a Gen 3 one if your budget stretches to it. I just think they're a little bit better built than Generation 1 and 2 cars, and I think you'll probably get more value for money in terms of what you buy. So good luck in looking for a second-hand Mini. I wish you well, and I hope you find the car that you're looking for.